What is body language? Body language is a form of nonverbal communication that often speaks louder than words. When you enter a room, your body language often introduces you before you open your mouth. And body language can be used to be extremely influential. That's why it's so important to work on body language. In this video, I'm going to explain the 6 key aspects to body language to be a better communicator. I'll explain the benefits, the consequences when it's done poorly, and I'll give you some tips to enhance your body language. But before we dive in, I'm not pretending being an expert. I'm just someone who's passionate about development and communication, and I learned a ton of tips that could be extremely useful for you in your journey to become a better communicator. In communication, there is 4 main aspects. There's emitting a message, there's receiving a message, and then there's the verbal and nonverbal. And basically body language covers the nonverbal part. So now let's deep dive into the 6 key elements to become a better communicator through body language. And let's begin with eye contact. Eye contact is a critical element when it comes to body language. It's the act of looking into someone's eyes during an interaction or a communication. Maintaining good eye contact can significantly increase your connection with people. And here is why it's important. 1, it builds trust. It shows that you are someone trustworthy, sincere. And 2, it shows that you are listening to your interlocutor. However, eye contact used ineffectively can lead to discomfort and bad communication. For example, if you look into someone's eyes with persistence for too long, it can lead to intimidation. And you definitely don't want that. Also, it can lead to people thinking you're avoiding the discussion if you're not looking enough in someone's eyes. Let's explore some tips to use effectively eye contact. There is one main tip I'm going to give you here, which is the 70-30 rule, which states that during an interaction with someone, you want to look into their eyes for about 70% of the time. The other 30% of the time, you can look around, look at something else. Now let's talk about the facial expressions. Our faces can convey a lot of emotions, and there's basically a few basic emotions you need to understand to master your facial expressions. And happiness, sadness, disgust, fear, surprise are the main ones. Understanding facial expressions can lead to a deeper connection with people. It leads to improved empathy, and it shows that you are someone who's displaying emotions. And also it allows you to enhance your communication and connection with people in a way that it shows you're human. However, when it's done poorly, it can lead to bad consequences. 1, it can show that you are not an authentic person, and if there is a misalignment between your facial expressions and what you're saying, there's going to be a mismatch, and people are going to be sure that you're not an authentic person. And it can lead to discomfort and confusion as well. So now let's deep dive into the tips. 1, learn the basics of facial expression. What happiness looks like, what anger should look like, what disgust should look like. It's going to allow you to better express yourself and be more aligned, have better alignment between what you're saying and your body language. 2nd, I would say pay close attention to the eyes of people, because they are the window of the soul. And when you see and you know how to interpret the eyes, you have a really good understanding of people's expression. And the last one is practice mirroring. It's a very common technique which consists in imitating people when they talk. So for example, if someone talks to you cross-armed like this, you're going to gently and slowly do the same thing. And it's going to build a sense of connection and trust between you. So now let's talk about posture. So the posture is the way you stand with your body. And a good posture has significant advantages. It shows you are someone confident, and it shows also professionalism. However, if you have a bad posture, it can show a lack of confidence, of self-esteem, and it can also lead to health problems and back pains. So now 2 main tips when it comes to posture. As much as possible, you can try and stand tall, as if you had the string pulling over your head towards the sky. And the second tip is stretching. Practice yoga or have any stretch routine that allows your shoulders to be back and stand taller. And then you're going to appear way more confident. Now let's talk about the gestures. So gestures is what you're doing with your hands and with your body when you're talking to someone. Good gesture can lead to confidence and make your message more memorable. On the other hand, if you have bad gesture, it can distract and confuse people when you're talking. So here, main tips when it comes to gestures is to first learn the basics of gestures. So for example, if you're talking to something that's going up, you're going to do like this, or others. There's many basic gestures you can learn. So that's my first tip. The second tip is to practice, because the more you practice and the less awkward it's going to be for you to use your hands when you're talking. So now let's talk about proximity and personal space. So basically that's the distance you're going to put between people when you talk. And if you have the right distance between people, it's going to show that you respect the boundaries of people, and it's going to show that you're engaged also in the conversation. But if you're, for example, too close to the people, it shows intrusion, and that's absolutely something you want to avoid. And on the other hand, if you're too far, it shows disengagement. So one tip here is to try and find the right distance, to be not too close, but not too far. And also, very important, adapt to cultural norms. For some people and for cultures, it's could be seen as disrespectful to be too close to one another. So just try and learn and adapt to people in general. Now let's talk about touch. So touch is the way you interact physically with people when you talk to them. If you know how to use touch, it's going to convey friendliness and trust and empathy. If you pat someone on the back, or if a good handshake. But if you don't know how to use that properly, it can be really weird. It can be seen as intrusive and can lead to discomfort. On the other hand, if you never touch anyone and you can appear to be a little cold to people. So my tip here is to try and use touch when you can with people. You need to try and read people. If you start touching them on the shoulder and you see a form of discomfort, you adapt and you stop. So a little bit same thing than the one before would be to adapt to people and to the situation. In conclusion, mastering body language to enhance your communication is a valuable journey that could lead to enhanced relationships with people. We've covered the 6 main aspects of body language, which are the eye contact, the facial expressions, the gestures, the posture, the touch, and the personal space. Remember that mastering body language is not pretending someone you're not, but rather enhancing your natural ability to interact with people and using your body in communication. It's important to practice these techniques on a regular basis. You need to be very consistent, and you'll see improvement over time, which is going to lead to enhanced relationship with people. So I hope you found this guide helpful and you can use these tips in your day-to-day life to improve your communication. Thank you for joining me in this exploration of body language, and I wish you all the success in your way to become a better communicator through body language. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.